So it starts with a toy box that won't close, a line up to the bathroom every morning, a whole, oh no, we need to turn the TV down because the kids are now in bed. Suddenly that home that you loved a number of years ago is now starting to feel a little bit too small. I'm going to show you the upgrade roadmap to help families move into their dream home without actually having to sacrifice their lifestyle. The first question that every family will ask me when they're wanting to upgrade their home is, should we keep our current property as an investment or should we actually sell it? This is all, however, going to be dependent on what your cash flow looks like. If your current home has actually increased in value, then you may actually be sitting on your deposit already without even knowing. Now, this means that we can potentially access that equity without you needing to have saved a single cent. So for example, if your current home is worth $800,000 and you only owe $300,000 on your home, you've got available equity of $340,000. This is enough for a deposit plus stamp duty on a property worth about $1.2 million. But here's the catch. Just because you've got that available equity doesn't mean you're always actually able to access it. Again, it's going to come down to your cash flow. So we need to look at your overall borrowing capacity as to whether or not we access that equity and keep that property, or we turn around and we sell it and then we use the sale proceeds from the sale of that property. The biggest fear for families is being homeless. Selling your house before buying a new one, or worse, owning two properties and having to pay two mortgages at once. This is where the bridging loan can come into place. So how does a bridging loan actually work? So a bridging loan works by allowing you to move into your new property prior to selling your current property. Now, the way that this will usually work finance-wise is you've usually got two loans. Those two loans are called your end debt and your bridging debt. So your bridging debt is the debt that you currently hold on your current property, plus the deposit and the purchasing costs that you need for the new property. The end debt, however, is the debt which then sticks with the new property. So once your existing property has sold, then you will still have what we call your end debt. So that's your remaining debt. And your bridging debt, that's the debt in which gets paid off at the sale of your current property. The issue with a bridging loan, however, is your end debt may be at a really good interest rate, but the peak debt or the bridging debt, that is the debt which is actually paid on a really high interest rate, sometimes as high as 9%. That debt is going to be in place until the day that you sell your current property. Now, usually most lenders will allow you to capitalize the interest on that particular property, meaning that it's not actually payable until the sale of your property. Bridging loans are usually in place for about 12 months. Banks don't like it to exceed that 12-month period. So capitalized interest is where the interest just keeps on accruing over a certain period of time. Now, what this means is you won't be paying the interest per month on that bridging loan. However, if you, let's just say you hold your current property for 6 months and then you sell it, at the time of the sale, you've then got 6 months worth of interest, which is then payable out of the sale proceeds. The reason why most lenders will do this is because there's usually not too many households who can actually afford to pay both the bridging debt and the end debt at the same time. If you could, it pretty much defeats the purpose of needing a bridging loan. So for example, if you've got a bridging loan sitting at $800,000 on an interest rate of 9%, that's usually around $6,000 in interest per month. So if you hold that particular property and you don't sell it for 6 months, then at the time of the sale, you then owe about $36,000 in interest. When I have clients who come to me to upgrade their home, I always like to include a little bit of a buffer. Whereas this isn't always necessary, it is usually my number one recommendation. Now that buffer is going to come into place because we need to remember that when you upgrade your family home, you're moving into something bigger. Therefore, your overall expenses actually increase. Now, what I'm talking about is rates. Your rates are usually going to be more expensive on a larger home. Things like electricity, it's obviously a lot more expensive to heat a larger home. Water, And obviously your home loan repayment. You're most likely going to have a slightly larger loan than what you did have in the past. So what we like to do is we like to put a bit of a buffer in place. So ultimately what that means is we like to see savings of about 6 to 12 months worth of expenses sitting there in your account before you even sign a contract. And the reason for this is because if something were to happen, the car breakdown, you need to replace the car, anything along those lines, you've got a bit of a buffer in place. Now, when upgrading your home, let's not forget about the hidden costs. Now, I'm talking about things like stamp duty. In some states, stamp duty can actually be 6 figures. That's how high it can be. So when you've got a massive bill for stamp duty, plus other costs such as immediate repairs that you want to make on the new property, we always want to make sure that there is a little bit of a buffer there waiting, ready to go at the time of settlement. Usually what we can do is we can include all of this within your loan to value ratio. So what we do is we make sure that we're going to be borrowing enough to cover pretty much everything that we need to cover in relation to costs, purchase price, stamp duty, all of that sort of stuff, in line with what you've currently got sitting there in your savings account, trying to keep the loan to value ratio at an acceptable amount of about 80% or lower to allow you for that lower interest rate and therefore those lower repayment. And obviously anything at 80% or lower, it means we also get to avoid any lender's mortgage insurance. Because at the end of the day, we want you to be able to move into your new house with a smile and not a stress headache. So upgrading your family home is a massive milestone. If you're feeling the pinch and you want to have a chat about upgrading your current numbers, click on the link below and we can have a chat and run you through exactly what sort of scenarios are appropriate for you. I'm Nicole and I'll help you and your family find the space that you need. So if you like this content, feel free to share with your friends and make sure that you like and subscribe. Bye!